good to go. Is everybody okay if we make a start? Yep, okay. So first of all, just to say that I'm standing in as a temporary chair for this meeting because our chair is otherwise engaged this evening. So apologies for that. I'd like to have a fairly concise meeting, so if everybody can keep their contributions to a fairly concise time, that would be really helpful. And there's a couple of changes to the agenda just in terms of the running order. So, but we'll start off with well, first of all, apologies. Have we got any apologies?
Yeah, Chair, I've got a number of apologies. We've had apologies from James Slavin, Anne Ballinger, Sam Fox from NHS Lanarkshire, Andy Gillen, Pauline McCall from Voice of Experience Forum, Councillor Curry, Tracy Lambert, Raymond Taylor, Gary Hoy, who's unfortunately been called to an operational incident for Scottish Fire and Rescue. Councillor Willie Goldie has also been held up. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Okie doke. I'm assuming that everyone like me will have received all the paperwork for the previous meetings. So if we can go to the minute of the previous meeting, first of all, we're happy to accept that that's an accurate record of the meeting. That being the case, can I have a proposer and seconder, please? Anybody? I'm not seeing any hands going up. No. Okay. Okay, we'll go on to matters arising. Are there any matters arising from the previous minute?
Yes, Chair, I have an update on CCTV, if that's okay.
That would be great, Annette, thanks.
Okay, Round Road, Abernhill, CCTV cameras are scheduled to be installed in April, all going to schedule. Just as power supply and a column to go in. Carbrain Primary School, there's two cameras going on, two CCTV cameras scheduled to go on Carbrain Primary School during the Easter break. A risk assessment identified the need for the school to be closed for two pupils for cameras to be installed safely. Also around Carbrain Gilly, two CCTV cameras for Carbrain Gilly will be installed in April. Cloudon Road, Kildrum, proposal submitted and evidence to support has been provided. Cameras viable and we're just waiting on the final costs. Cumbernauld Park, CCTV camera has been installed and is operational.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you very much, Chair.
That's smashing. Those that have gone in, are we likely to be on budget with those, or do we need to take any money from the LDP to cover them?
The money, Matt will explain that. The money comes from the LDP.
Great. That's smashing.
We're fine with the budget on that, Chair, to progress those works.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. I know it's been a bit of a thing that I've been kind of keen to see progressing. So that's really great. That's real progress in the last quarter. So thank you to everybody involved. And I know that we had talked about the Ravenswood Nature Reserve, but Annette had said that there really wasn't adequate police reports to suggest that there was a need there. So if there's anyone on from that kind of area, if there are any sort of antisocial behaviour police incidents, can you please make sure that they're reported? And then that allows us to get the evidence to be able to include those kind of things. That's really brilliant though, thank you. Anything else there, Annette?
No, I'm happy with the update I've given unless there's any questions.
Anyone? So there's a question in the chat bar there. Where is the one in the Cumbernauld? Could that be the Cumbernauld Park? That's Karen and Key from Kildrum Community Council.
I would need to check the location for you. That was one that we had inherited previously, so it was more or less completed. And I've just heard recently that it's actually installed and operational, so I can get the exact location.
And Matt's got his hand up. He's something to say on that, Chair.
It's fine. Just in terms of what Annette was saying there, Chair, what we can do is we can ask for all the cameras to be plotted on a map or a plan, and we can share that with the board so you can see exactly all the locations of where these are. And what we can also try and get is some visuals from the cameras so you can see the coverage that they're given, and we can share that with the board as well so you can actually see what we're looking at when we have these in place. So we'll see what we can pull together on that, because these can be really helpful in letting people see what areas are covered. And bear in mind, the visual you'll see, it's a 360 camera, so it's just a bit you're seeing. It covers everything about that as well. But these are usually very helpful. So we'll get that pulled together as soon as we can, and we'll share that.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Matt. Any other questions? Anyone? Nope. I'm not seeing anything.
Councillor Smith's got his hand up.
Oh,
Chair.
sorry. If you're trying to get in and I'm not seeing you, please just interrupt. But Adam, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. It was just to clarify that the camera in Cumbernauld Park, it refers to Cumbernauld Community Park rather than Cumbernauld House Park. So just to clarify that.
I believe so.
Thanks. Yep. Great stuff. Okay, any other matters arising? No? Okay, with that, we'll move on. I'm going to go to Gerard McLaughlin, who is our community champion. Gerard can only be with us for a short time tonight. So, Gerard, over to you. Sorry.
Councillor Smith's hand's back up again. I don't know whether it's back up at the same point or it's...
Oh, sorry, Adam.
Sorry, my mistake.
Okay. Sorry, Gerard, over to you.
Thanks very much. Good evening, everyone. There's a few updates that have come in from colleagues across the council. First one is in relation to the team financial solutions. They certainly want me to update about administering a number of payment schemes to support residents from low income households. The £150 fuel hardship payment was launched in October 22 and will be open to new applicants until the 31st of March 2023. The pension of fuel grant was initiated in November 22, with the council writing to 8,692 eligible households to provide bank details to ensure the £100 grant payment can be made directly to the bank accounts. As at the 18th of January, 4,381 payments have been made to eligible households. With regards to planning and regeneration, planning in place, National Planning Framework came into force on the 13th of February. This sets out the National Spatial Strategy for Scotland to 2045. This introduces national planning policies against which all applications for planning permission should be considered. With regards to place and enterprise, they want me to highlight two main things. North Lanarkshire Council are committed to supporting a growing social enterprise sector. We recognise that the sector is important for the economy and communities they support. The North Lanarkshire Council Social Enterprise Framework 21 to 2026 was developed by organisational engagement with the sector. The second thing they would like me to highlight is in relation to North Lanarkshire Council has supported tourism as a key sector for many years by engaging with the sector and working in partnership with South Lanarkshire Council on the established Visit Lanarkshire brand. The North Lanarkshire Tourism Steering Group developed a tourism strategy for North Lanarkshire, which was launched last year. If you do want to see it, you just type in visitlanarkshire.com and you'll be able to see that information. There's also going to be, at the next cycle of community board meetings, a focus on digital solutions, and the digital subgroup will be coming to present to each of the boards. And the last thing for myself in relation from an education perspective is just I want to focus a wee bit on ASN and some of our new builds. For ASN, for those of you who don't know, we have recently put in what we call the Hive in Drum Park. This is for children that have moved from Mavis Bank. Clyde View has moved to Daisy Park in the Fir Park setting and officially opened just last week. Pentland Primary School is moving to Townhead Community Centre. It's been again refurbished, and Bothwell Park was part of a consultation for moving them to Edward Lawson Centre, which hopefully the children and young people will be in at the start of next year. Consultation, I'm taking a paper in relation to consultation around moving the Mavis Bank secondary pupils to the Cumbernauld site, and there is also a consultation around the new Gartcosh School. For those of you who don't know, there's been a big focus on ASN in 2018. There was a number of recommendations. One of them was to look at the actual buildings that the children and young people, and that's why there has been all of these developments. And the last thing, with your permission, is just to highlight the new mains and St Bridget's community hub, which has just opened. An amazing facility, not just as an educational establishment, but I suppose it showcases the plan for North Lanarkshire and how a specific building can be used for the community. And that is the focus moving forward. So certainly our young people have been in, and our councillors were all invited to go and see it. If you do get the opportunity, there will be a video coming out to actually show the actual hub and all the facilities that are there. Chair, thanks very much for giving me the time to go through all those points. I know I've rushed through them, but I think there's key points that the board.
I think we might have, Gerard might have frozen. Is there anyone who wants to make any comment or ask any questions?
Chair, I'm back if there was any questions, sorry.
We're not having the best of nights with our IT tonight. Anybody get any questions or comments? Either put your hands up or maybe indicate in the chat. Not seeing anybody? No?
There's no questions indicated.
Nothing. Okay, thanks very much, Gerard, for your time. I know you've got other commitments on tonight, so if there's anything else that anyone wants to pick up at a later stage, then we'll take a note, and certainly the officers will bring you up to speed on that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the local priorities, the LOIP updates, and I've had a request to move one of those up to the first point on the agenda. Again, we've got people who've got other commitments, so it's the youth engagement and consultation.
If I could, sorry, can I just come in and just say something here, Suzanne?
Sorry, of course, yes.
No,
thanks.
it's okay. It's just to say that all subgroups have now started. And tonight we're going to have the subgroups, representatives from the subgroups giving us a feedback. So tonight from the youth engagement and consultation subgroup, I have Lindsay Weir, who is here tonight with Shafi, the MSYP, and I believe Emma, the MSYP. So if I can hand it over to them at this stage.
Thank you.
Hello, yeah, so it's me and Shafa that are here tonight. I'll just introduce myself and then I'll pass you over to Shafa, we've sort of broken it up into two sort of aspects. So I'm Emma Prack, I'm one of the members of Scottish Youth Parliament for Cumbernauld and Clyde. I'm also a trustee on the board of the Scottish Youth Parliament as well, with a specific portfolio for comms. But I'll pass you over to Shafa to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Shafa and I am the member of the Scottish Youth Parliament for Cumbernauld and Clyde as well. Now, at our very first subgroup meeting, we had created a list of action points, and so I'm just going to update you on the first action point. I believe we're only going to be covering two today. So our action point 1 was to work with the local youth forum and the members of the Scottish Youth Parliament to understand what we already know about young people in Cumbernauld from previous engagement, existing services and data. The progress we've made with this action point is that we've made contact with the key organisations involved in supporting and providing services for young people in Cumbernauld. These include the CLD youth voice groups, the LGBTQ+ youth group, the members of the Scottish Youth Parliament, myself and Emma, the St Lucy's Youth Zone, and YMCA. And now I'm going to pass you back over to Emma.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shafa. So yeah, as Shafa said, we're sort of focusing on 2 of the action points right now. The 2 that are the young people in the group, we had decided were the most important to address first. So action 4 is the other one that we're looking at, and that's to identify any gaps in services for local young people and agree actions for improving access to services and activities for local young people. So since the original first meeting that we had, and we actually discussed this quite a lot at our meeting that we just had there on Tuesday as well, we've agreed to consult and develop and make available an information kind of youth directory that will identify services and things that young people can do in Cumbernauld, and how to support them. So it will sort of look like if you ever go into Google Maps and you can like search up places to eat and like wherever you are, and it'll show you all the places around you that you can go to, sort of along like that kind of route. So the young people will be looking at the areas, like we'll be looking around Cumbernauld, seeing this like the sort of things that already exist, and making contact with those groups to find out when they run, if there's a cost, because for a lot of young people obviously cost can be quite a big deal, and something that some young people just can't be like affording to do. Obviously in the middle of the cost of living crisis as well, that's something that we identified as quite a key piece of information. We also had quite a big discussion about accessibility and the fact that this service needs to be accessible to all, and that kind of links in with the digital inclusion subgroup as well. But also for young people that have disabilities or have accessibility requirements that may, for whatever reason, might not be able to go to certain things. But yeah, we've identified the sort of key points that young people care about when they'd be looking for services, and creating that youth directory will take it all into one place and show where young people can take it. But yeah, that is what we've been up to, and hopefully the next board meeting we'll be able to update you on our progress with it.
Thank you very much, Emma. And Shafa, thank you very much. And I'm going to go to the update for the targeted action within identified communities. This would...
Sorry, Annette, I think Nicole Savage has got her hand up. I don't know if you want to say something, Nicole. Sorry, Chair.
That's all right. No, it was just to say that I'd be really interested in kind of speaking with you about your directory and any support we can give from kind of social work. Then that would be just to join up services, because services change quite rapidly as well. So it's good to kind of keep up to date. But that sounds really, really important work.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to move on to the targeted action. There would have been an update for that tonight. That the update would be from NHS Lanarkshire. I believe that it's been sent to you. If there's any questions, we can take questions and come back with answers, as there's no one here for NHS Lanarkshire to report back.
Have you any questions? No.
Okay. If I can now move on to food and financial insecurity. I know Amanda is on and was having some difficulty. Amanda will do the update if she's there.
Nick, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I can't see anything and I can only hear every other, so apologies. At the last meeting, we did a kind of poverty awareness session looking at in particular Cumbernauld, we got we need to bit with Robert and the young people, as well as some work in some schools across all of North Lanarkshire, just to get a picture in terms of what our young people are thinking of cost of living, how it affects them, how it affects other people in their community, and what they would like us to do about it. there's also going to be some of my team going out to the Warham spaces. We're just trying to get that set up just now. And again, we're trying to do it quite informally. We'll have a board set up with some stick-it notes just to ask the community how the cost of living is affecting them, again, how it affects other people and what they would like us to do about it, so that our approaches are very much led by community, and that's reflected in both our, also in local child poverty action reports. So we're doing a concentrate now on the views of our community to try and shape what it is that we're doing. We continue with the pledge in terms of the food referral gateway. We continue to try and get people, referrers and the American privilege to the referral gateway, a cash first approach as opposed to a food parcel being the connected in making sure that people also get access to crisis grants, and as well as information and advice, be it income maximisation or debt advice. And the team continues to try and promote the fuel hardship payment that the council have, which is for people who are not in receipt of benefit, people who are working and on a low income, people who inform us and tell us that they always just miss out on the help that's coming from the UK government. So we extended that payment to the 31st of March. So again, just encouraging people, and we'll be doing that in the community as well to take that up.
Thank you very much, Amanda. The next two updates are public and community transport and green space maintenance, environmental quality. These updates will be delivered by Camille Tomzik from Van El.
Good evening, everybody. I've got for you two updates on two subgroups. First one, I'll go for green space maintenance and environmental quality. The meeting took place and was incredibly successful. We've got a couple of points to mention on the committee boards. I'll start with North Lancashire Outdoor Access Forum, which is people who meet to discuss ways of improving and managing non-motorized public access in North Lancashire. This group, we managed to gain intelligence that does not have any participants and members from Cumbernauld, and Alex Clark kindly agreed to attend in the meeting in Motherwell and Edre, and also there was another one in Edre, basically to provide the feedback to the next subgroup meeting. Next one is Cumbernauld Living Landscape. 6 applications for local groups has been submitted, and Cumbernauld Blooming Wild last year received Silver Guild Award and Best Small City Award, for instance. Next one, review of school questionnaire. There was a big piece of work. Tracy collected ideas for questions, and there was many changes and additional questions proposed as well. Update on benches. Out and About group has received funding for benches. So we discussed possible locations in Cumbernauld House Park, other locations, pretty much like a hill coming from Ravenswood and other places with direct access to green areas. Discussion also took place regarding places where new benches could be placed in the future. So that's for the green space subgroup. The next one is public and community transport. So I'll start with Cumbernauld Out and About group and link to Living Streets. There was a couple of meetings with Cumbernauld Village Green Spaces, that's an environmental group, and engagement with CFAR community. Some of the issues that has been mentioned during the meeting were pretty much about getting on and off on buses for mobility, for users using mobility scooters. So also there was discussion about how prams go pretty much on with the wheelchair space in the buses. There is only limited space, and there was no indication that drivers are really helping at all times with this issue. There is also a issue with buses coming from Condarat village from Cumbernauld. It's been noted that there are 2 stops before the village, and there is not enough transport around Cumbernauld because all traffic goes directly through Cumbernauld town centre. And there is, I think, 3 more major ones for the subgroup. Which the general impression was that living in Cumbernauld, car is required to commute successfully. In the past, there was X28 bus, and that was taken off, and X25 stagecoach, which was coming from Condarat village to Cumbernauld in the evening only. And there was no morning connections. So dialing a bus also proven to be quite difficult because it was about a half an hour waiting time on the phone for their staff to pick up actually the phone before could take any orders for the bus and conversations really. There is one for Mollinsborough, and that has a roundabout, and there's an option to basically use this roundabout to go back from Cumbernauld, so there'll be no issue extending that line. These are very detailed information. I don't have to tell you all the details, but there was also a request for 2 different bodies to actually attend. First one was a person, so we're hoping to invite Adam Smith, councillor, and also community police to attend the meetings in the future. And the final, I think, 2 or 3 were people who are parking on drop-down curbs in Ravenswood, Westray Road, and Westray Road Court, because wheelchair users and pram users, they can't go at all on the actually on the pavement. Cars are everywhere, so including dog walkers and people on bikes, they can't really use it. Also, mobility scooters. It's a huge problem over there. And the last one, pretty much not least, was crossing the road. Crossing the road actually, and the most crucial place in Cumbernauld, which is between the shopping centres. There is a fence I've seen when I was driving there as well, just recently. So the general impression was it's really hard to go between one and another, and going through the shopping centre makes people feel unsafe in the late hours. So that was pretty much all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to say that the digital inclusion and communication and engagement are standard items on the agendas for each of the subgroups. There was some issues that have been brought up around digital inclusion, and we'll make sure that these issues are made available to Alec so he can present them. And Alec, if it's okay, I will give you a call tomorrow about this.
That's fine. That's fine.
Can I just ask, are there any questions? Natalie, please.
I'm actually on the agenda, but since you have mentioned, Camille, the dropped curb situation, so I'll just kind of bring, it's kind of a similar situation regarding the same area at Our Lady's High School. I have mentioned this to 2 separate councillors, and I'm probably saying this speaking more as a parent than as of anything else. Lines were recently drawn outside Our Lady's to deter the teachers from parking outside the school, which I'm sure was a huge inconvenience to the everyday traffic trying to get up and down there. I understand that. Also, lines were painted right outside the school building, again to stop parking. The lines weren't put where they really should be. The lines should be on the bends. Now, if you go down to Our Lady's at 3:45, Monday to Thursday, and at 12:30 on a Friday, you will see absolute bedlam. And as I say, I've mentioned this on more than one occasion. On one occasion, I counted 15 cars parked from the Cafe Asia building, bomb site, down to where the path ends, basically. Now, not to mention that obviously that kind of limits the movement up and down for cars, people going down to get their kids and then leaving with their kids. People are doing U-turns down there when there's cars parked on the bend. Yesterday there was cars parked on both corners. Now, that's a big, that comes down to common sense, which I think we can probably all agree is very much missing right now, and just generally. But the lines are in the wrong place. The lines, I get the lines outside the school, sorry, where the teacher's car park is. That solves an inconvenience. It doesn't solve a danger. Where those people are parking is dangerous because there are kids, as you can imagine, it's a secondary school. There are hundreds of kids coming out there at 3:45. There are cars everywhere. You can't possibly try and watch those kids and watch these cars at the same time. Why they're not parking at the bottom, I do not know. There is hundreds of space down there for all of those cars. It is as quick to go down there as it is to go and turn and then park on the pavement. I don't know what else to say. As I say, I've mentioned it to Gillian Fannin and I mentioned it to Anne Ballinger. And as I say, lines were put in place, personally, in the wrong place. Utterly in the wrong place. As I say, it's where they have been put, those places were an inconvenience to park. I understand that. And it's probably helpful now that they are there. But they're not helping. Where they should be would solve a dangerous situation. I don't know why it's being ignored. It's just beyond me. It's absolute bedlam down there, as I realise it is at most schools. But why lines were not put in those bends when the lines were painted yards away, I do not know. There's a child who's going to be seriously hurt because people are getting irate as well. The teachers, I'm sure the teacher, Mr McLaughlin there would probably have told you, the teachers see it because they're trying to manage the children up to the buses, to the lovely new bus stop. So they're witnessing it, and they're probably witnessing a few exchanges as well at the same time. Lines were taken away or rubbed away as you come down just past the Cafesia site. There was a black white crossing that's vanished. Also, people who don't quite know how to exit the car park just outside the school gates. It's absolute bedlam. And honestly, I would highly recommend, as somebody who sees it every single day of the week, that somebody really please look at that as a matter of urgency before there's an accident.
Can I come in, Natalie, with an answer? I think because I've got a couple of ideas on this because I've seen this working places and different places that doesn't work. So first of all, what really works is school crossing patrol. Basically, those lollipop men and women. So that really helps because they've got this actually. Powers, to stop the traffic, and it's really important for the general safety. So that's the first one. And second, what really works is educating basically drivers and parents. So I've seen head teachers going actually in the crucial places and talking to parents, and after they just show up once or twice, it changes everything, because parents are actually this is like a sense of authority you have. And this is your kid, this is your school, this is your safety, and everybody has it. So after this, I've seen it actually twice, or I think once or twice, it changed my actually habits. I don't park places I used to. I walk more and I park on different streets. So it's helped me really to understand the problem. And if I didn't have the support from actually a head teacher and this lollipop person, I couldn't understand the issue, even if the lines were actually, as you said, painted in the wrong place. So sometimes they're painted for a reason and not necessarily ignored, but people are in a hurry, and stuff like that. So I think just really plug up this. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Actually, Caroline's got her hand up. So Caroline, if you'd like to come in.
Sorry, Susan, what was that?
I'll just say Caroline has her hand up. So
Caroline, please.
Hi. I think it was just following on from Natalie's comment. Natalie, I agree with you 100%. I think the other issue that presents an everyday danger is also the amount of cars that park at the two main bus stops at the top of that road as well.
Absolutely.
I've actually myself encountered a situation where a parent was doing a U-turn on the main road, which actually caused a crash. So you've not only got that, I've seen pensioners standing at the bus stops trying to get into buses. Buses can't get in to the lay-by, so they're then stopping traffic on the main road as well. And this is not something, this happens every single day from the at 3:15 in the afternoon. There's cars sitting there. So I think it was just to note that as well, because that is the main road and it's actually causing a danger not only to people who are driving on that road but crossing the road, but it's causing a danger to people who are using the bus stops as well.
Absolutely, Caroline. I think that's a really good point. I mean, I think if you look, probably if you drive around the ring road at Cumbernauld, you'll see that all of the bus stops are occupied at school, you know, sort of leaving time as well. I had a chat with Gerard about this today because I saw that there was something coming on the agenda and I wasn't sure, you know, I wanted to flag it to him. And I was talking to him primarily about Island Road and about where the teachers' car park is and how there were yellow lines put there. And there's now at least one teacher and a number of parents who park at the end of the yellow lines. So again, you know, the whole point of having those lines there is to stop, you know, it being a danger. So I think we'll maybe go back to Gerard with those points about education and about, and I know that he did say today that he was going to speak to the head teacher. So if, with your permission, Natalie, I'll get him to raise those issues, in particular around Downfield Road and Island Road. But maybe our police colleagues could help in terms of the parking at bus stops. I'm not sure if there's anyone on from the police tonight.
Yep.
We've got Inspector McCusker.
Yeah, if I can jump in there, obviously parking is a council enforcement now, it's been decriminalised. However, if someone's causing an obstruction in some way, then we can look at that if there's sufficiency of evidence there. I'll contact our community team at Cumbernauld, Greg McHale, the sergeant, and see if we can get police officers down there just to have a wee bit, even not even an enforcement day, just an education day, and we can link in with the school. I've not got any issue with that. So just to be clear, is that our ladies?
It is our ladies, yeah.
If you leave it with me, I'll send an email tonight before I finish, and I'll get Greg onto that and get the officer down next week.
That would be really helpful, thank you. Natalie, does that...
yeah, perfect. Yeah, yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
If we can, the final update would be in relation to the LOIPs from the police or the fire, if anyone's here. If there's any updates.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So I'm Michael McCusker, I'm the Area Police Inspector for Communities at Airdrie and Coatbridge. Susan Ray's your normal inspector. She's had to go off, unfortunately, for a number of months. So as of Monday, I'll be taking over. So I'm quite late to the party here, and I'll thank Christine Boyle. She's kept me right on what we want to update. So thanks very much, Christine. A couple of things to have asked to go over is the budget implications for the government are going to put out for us on that. So obviously awaiting finalisation of the formal budgets for 23-24. We'll give the best service we can, but we can only work within our budgets. Right now we're saving roughly 200 million a year over our legacy forces when there was 9 of us, and we're due cumulative savings of about 2 billion by 2026. That's obviously a massive saving, but also impacts on us for a monetary point of view. So try to understand, pay represents around about 86% of our staffing, of our costs, as with any business, to be fair. So something that I can gauge for you to give you an idea how that makes us sit. We got a 5% pay award this year that came from last year's budget, which wasn't factored in. If this again happens for next year and it's not factored in for the 23-24 budget, it's going to unfortunately require a reduction of around 1,125 police officers across Scotland. So to put that in perspective for you, Q Division, which covers North and South Lanarkshire, is 1,300 officers. So it's almost like losing a full division across Scotland. So QG, which covers Cumbernauld, Coatbridge and Airdrie, is 250 officers. So we'll need to look at, once we get the budget, which we've not seen, we've not got final eyes on just now, we may need to withdraw some of our goodwill services. What that looks like to the council and the residents here is we may have to ask the Housing and Antisocial Task Force to do joint visits themselves. We won't be able to do that, etc, etc. Some divisions across Scotland have actually looked at a model which takes away their entire community policing teams. Thankfully, for Q Division, that's not what we're looking for. We're actually going to possibly increase our community teams because they do a fantastic job for us. So we don't need to worry about that. But going forward, I can't really give you any formal update because we don't know what the budget is yet. So that's just kind of hypothetical at this moment in time. For the next meeting, I'll be able to have a better idea for you, and I'll be able to have kind of things that I can pass on for the meeting beforehand. But I say I've got to this quite late, so that's just off the top of my head really from last night for the Northern Corridor updates. So I apologise if it's not up to scratch, but it's unfortunately what we're working with just now. So the second thing I've asked to speak about is Operation Moto X, which is some good news finally. So we'd like to thank the community boards, yourself being one, for part funding the quad bikes. So we're sharing them between Airdrie, Coatbridge, Cumbernauld. Right now they're based in Cumbernauld. I don't know if any of you have got any Twitter or Facebook for Police Scotland and you follow them. So I've had a photo shoot done with them out and about, so they'll be able to help us tackle antisocial use of kind of motorbikes across fields, etc. So if anyone has any issues with that, I'll put my email address in the chat box and you can just email me and we can get an action plan put in place for that. But try to understand, we have 2 quads, 6 officers trained just now, a further 8 will be trained. We've also purchased a trailer. So it's a 3-day course the officers go on to be able to ride the quads, and they've been deployed in Win Hall, and right now they were in Steps in Cumbernauld yesterday and today. We're doing a full press launch on the 28th, and I've also asked Greg McHale to contact all our elected members to get them into the office to go through the quads with them. So for the elected members on tonight, expect an email at some point next week, and we can get you up to the office, a cup of tea and walk around the quads and give you an idea of what they do, because it's an absolutely fantastic bit of kit, and it'll help us tackle antisocial use with the proper tools finally. But there's no further updates from myself, but it's a good bit of news, so thanks very much for that. But I'll be on for another hour and a half or so before I need to go to another incident, but I'll stay for an hour and a half and put my details on the chat for you. If any questions, I'll happily field them just now.
That's smashing, Michael, thank you. And I did notice on Facebook that there was a comment that they were out in Cumbernauld today, so they're already making an impact. Which
No, that's quite an impact thing to see. The 2 officers, I came from a road policing background, I was in traffic for 10 years, so I know the bikes have a fantastic impact in the community. So seeing them out and about, and it'll kind of hopefully put a message across that it's not going to be accepted, the antisocial use on the fields, etc.
Brilliant. Anybody get any questions or any points for Michael? Yep, Camille. I think you might be on mute.
Sorry about that. So just 2 questions, really. First one about the communication. It's more than idea than question. When it comes to actually traffic and parking and stuff like that, I believe messages coming from school with actually police enforcement going to social media and newsletters for parents are very strong, and they really work well. So just an idea, if you would have any communication sent to school, and therefore that probably would be also easier, make life easier for you. The quads, I think I've seen them on a Wednesday. The question I have, because I don't think they have indicators, and I've seen actually them driving on the road, and I was waiting to actually join the traffic on a Wednesday, and both actually police officers, they had to basically show me that they're going left. So how safe that is on uneven surface when they're actually going on some green space or whatever? How safe that is, and why they don't have indicators?
Yeah, I'll take you through the first point. Firstly, we've done a few things with the primary schools around Airdrie and Coatbridge. So I'll link in with the head teacher up at Our Ladies, and we'll get some communications put out through our own social media channels and theirs, and also some letters to the parents. On the quad bikes, 100% do have indicators. They're road legal. So the officers may have just been doing that to show, because it's what they do in bikes.
I haven't seen them. They weren't on, and they, both of them actually, they had to show left, basically, like on the bike,
Yeah.
and I don't know why they done it.
Well,
I couldn't see them on going on.
They can do that as well, just to kind of show a better presence for road users, but 100% do have indicators.
Maybe they weren't on or something. I couldn't see them. I was just looking at it for a while, and I couldn't join the traffic. And
yeah, there's a lot of lights on them. There's yellow, there's blue and white strobe lights on them as well. So they may just not be able to see them, but they're 100% there, and the quads
maybe
are 100%
it was a
road legal.
daylight or something. Maybe it was just too bright or
Yeah,
something.
possibly. What I'll do is I'll get them back down and have a look at them. I'll make sure everything's in working order. But the officers should be checking the lights before they go out anyway. But I'll make sure that's the case as of tomorrow. Send an email before we leave, just to ensure they're all in working order.
They're amazing, just
Thank
by the
you.
way. But
Thank you.
that's all. Thank you.
Thanks very much, that's great. Anybody else? Any other points on policing? No. And I don't think we have anyone from fire with us tonight. Okay, Annette, is there anything else that you need to finish
Councillor
off?
Barclays. Councillor Barclays.
Sorry, Claire.
I'm sorry, it's me. My reactions are, forgive me, are really slow. I couldn't find my hand. Either that one or that one. Sorry, Inspector McCusker, it's just it was kind of you had kind of covered it at the beginning, and it was obviously the parking on Cumbernauld Road that both myself and Adam Smith have been working on for a long time. And I think the community police have been really, really good, and they've been trying their best to talk to the people who have been parking on the ring road, and trying to get I'll say a kind of a common sense approach from them, because they're literally parking on the cycle lane. And the number of times that I have seen when it's been cyclists have been coming along, they've got to stop to then wait for a break in traffic. But I think the problem is because there's no legislation that will cover in Cumbernauld to put yellow lines or anything down there, and really it's up to trying to find that the drivers are decent enough that they will stop parking there. Is there, and I know, as I say, the community police were constantly at the people's doors, because where they're parking is right outside their door, because they find it an awful lot easier. Even when the previous, when Councillor Fannin had got more parking put in Kyle Road, in order to try and see if that would alleviate, because we do all work together. More parking was put in, it filled up really quickly, but it made no difference whatsoever on the people who were parking on the ring road. Is there anything that you can do to discourage them from parking there? Or is it down really to there being no legislation, and it's trying to find people with a goodwill? Because they were very pleasant when I've spoken to them, and when the community police had spoken to them. The people are very, very pleasant, but basically they're saying, well, we'll do what we want, because there's nothing to stop them doing it. Is there anything that you're able to do to make it better?
Yep, so unfortunately geographically I don't know the area. I don't take over till Monday. However, I will make that a priority. I'll go out and see that. I'll also tie in with Michael McNulty, who is our traffic management officer with road policing, and I'll see what legislation is actually in place for that road. So every bit of road in Scotland has got legislation attached to it. So I'll need to have a look at that. I'll dig that out. I'll get him to send me that over the weekend. And then from there I'll look at it. We normally do a two-tier approach, so we would do an education basis first, and if that doesn't work, we'll go to enforcement. So depending on if they're causing any obstructions, etc., we'll tie in with the council officers as well to see if there's any parking legislation we can go on. But just now, I don't know. I don't want to lie to you, so I don't know the lie of the road. So I'll need to have a look at that, but I'll do that as of next week, and I'll contact traffic management as well, and we can look at that for you. What I will do is I'll leave my email address in the chat bar if you want to send me an email, and we can correspond about it. But I'll have you an answer by the end of next week if you just leave it with me.
No, that's lovely. Can I just check, are you taking over from Sue permanently on Monday?
So
or
it's
is it
going.
just that she comes back?
Yeah, she will be coming back. She'll be between
yeah,
3 and 6 months, so she will be coming back. I'll be up there. I'm getting help down here for somebody to take here, Airdrie Coatbridge, and I'll go up there. So yeah, she'll be back 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Michael. Thank you.
I think Caroline would like a question.
Take my hand down, Chair, sorry. And I know you want to have this meeting in a timely manner, but just whilst we're on the subject of roads and transport and parking, I've noted an issue on the A8011 going down towards the Braehead roundabout. Now, on the side going down towards the Braehead roundabout, there's been, for quite some time now, I'd say a couple of years, the series of cones that have sat at the side of the road. Now, I know on the other side, coming up to the town centre, the cones have been removed, but they haven't been removed on the side going down. And actually, I noticed a few nights ago that a car had broken down and had completely moved all the cones. So what was a natural sort of kind of slow 2-lane going into 1 lane is now a very quick, oh my God, somebody's moved the cones. And it's now people are having to brake very quickly because the cones have been moved to the extent where it's very quickly now going into a 1 lane. Now, I noticed that probably on Friday of last week, because I think a car had broken down, and the person who broke down had actually moved all the cones. But I know, Chair, that they've still not been moved. And I'm seeing cars going down down the road and very quickly not realising that you've got that sort of very slow, 2-lane into one, and they're all having to brake very quickly because the cones are just now one lane, if you know what I mean. I don't know who the responsibility of that is to move those cones. I don't even know why the cones are still there, but I think that's just, possibly a wee accident waiting to happen. I just wanted that noted, Chair, because somebody has deliberately moved those cones and they haven't been moved back.
Okay, maybe we could ask Matt, one of the officers, to have a wee look at that from Roads.
Yeah, we'll pass that on to Roads, Caroline.
Thanks,
We'll
Caroline.
Thank you, Matt.
get on that.
Okay.
Adam Smith is, does it? have his
Yeah,
hand up?
I see that, Adam, if you want to come in.
Yeah, thanks. Just to add to what Claire was saying, so there's been a number of problems over the years with the kind of parking in Codrum and the parking on Codrum Road between Afton Road and Kyle Road. And yeah, I've had a number of discussions with community officers, and I know that they've spoken to local residents because there is sufficient parking provision. One of the issues though is the junction of Afton Road. There are cars constantly parked right on the junction, and it's causing a hazard for other road users. So I'm happy to pass details of those vehicles on as well. But yeah, there's a number of hazards around the Afton Road, Kyle Road areas of Codrum Road, but there's no traffic regulation order, which is a challenge. But I'm continuing to speak to colleagues in roads to see if there's anything we could do.
Thanks very much. Well, Michael, I think you've got plenty to be doing, even though you've not taken over officially. But
Councillor, just for information, obviously, if a car's parked within 10 metres of junction, it's causing unnecessary obstruction, so we can deal with that. So I'm just in the process of writing my email address in. Can you just send me an email with the exact location of that? I'll get officers down to have a look at that.
Will do. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.
Smashing. Thank you very much. Okay. And anything else just to finish off that section?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Thank you for it. That's been really some really good progress on the subgroup. So thanks to everybody involved. We're going to move on to community matters, and we're back with Annette, and it's an update on the community drop-ins.
Well, you're only back with me for a couple of seconds because I'm going to put it right back on everyone else. As you know, the community drop-ins are working and open across Cumbernauld. In support of the drop-ins and to recognise the increase in costs, the drop-ins have been offered the opportunity to apply for further grant funding so that they're not running at a loss. I don't mean a loss, but they're not running at a cost to other people. And also that there's people here tonight from the community drop-ins. So if anyone would like to give a wee update on how theirs is going, Suzanne?
Okay. Okay, I mean, I could give an update on behalf of Cumbernauld Resilience. We have been running our drop-in on a Monday night at the same time as our food bank. And what we're finding is that the number of users is going up and up every week, which is great. And it's open invitation to anyone to come along, actually, because it really is a brilliant experience. What happens is we've been working in partnership with Greenfalls High School, with pupils and a member of staff from Greenfalls, and effectively we do the cooking and the pupils from Greenfalls run the rest of it, from welcoming people, setting tables, taking orders, serving food, cleaning up afterwards and doing the dishes. And the last time I was in, they had the head teacher in doing the dishes with them, so that was brilliant. The people that we are serving are predominantly, I would say, people who are working and are able to then, they come along, have a hot drink, have a meal, they've got a choice of different offerings, and then they leave and they go to our food bank on the way out. So we've been able to combine both efforts, and it's working exceptionally well. We're very, very grateful to the council for the funding for it. And we see on a ground level the difference and the impact that it's having on ordinary people's lives. So thank you. Anyone else want to make any contribution to that?
I see Mary there. Mary, do you have anything? Mary from Cornerstone.
Who's that?
It's Christine
Oh,
Boyle
see,
speaking.
Christine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a Monday lunch session. We started a Tuesday one as well at the request of what Annette's just said. We've got a Wednesday morning and a Wednesday evening. We're serving hot rolls in the morning and soup from 4 o'clock to about 7:30 in the evening. Both of them are very busy. We're doing outreach down in the village on a Thursday and Westfield on a Friday. And they're all running at capacity with the numbers that we originally thought would work. The numbers, particularly on a Monday, are increasing all the time, like Suzanne said. A bit of a well, I suppose it's, people are finding out about, being able to go along and they're getting involved in different things as well from that. So overall, I would say it's been a great thing for community. And we are getting new faces every week, like Suzanne was explaining there as well. And again, we've got into a routine now whereby, there's the cooking does get done with our on-site cafe. But we've got some volunteers that are helping with the clear up, the setting out, the setting the tables, all the things that goes with it. We've got a wee partnership thing going down in the village with some of the members of one of the churches. They're very involved with us, making sure that one happens. And up in Westfield, I have to tell you that Billy Lees is in charge. That's all I have to say.
But of course.
He gives me my orders every Friday, so I just have to go with it. But yeah, the Westfield one is really busy. And it makes you think, and people are now asking what's happening, at the end of March. I don't know if you're finding that, Suzanne. Because we're restricted with that kind of deadline. And we know it's only up to March, but as an organisation, we'll do everything we can to keep something going. I think you'll feel the same, Suzanne.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think when you see the impact it's having on people, it really spurs you on to keep it going.
I mean, I had somebody today. It was in, and just generally saying, are you okay? What do you want? How can we help you? And he was telling me he's not had gas for over a week because his PIP was getting reviewed and he's just run out of money.
Yeah.
And this is really common. I suppose you'll find that, Suzanne, as well, especially people that are on the prepaid meters.
Absolutely.
It's quite telling, and what really, you'll know yourself, the stress that people are under is horrendous. It is really shown now, and it's been quite a long winter as well. It's been quite a hard winter, although we've not had a lot of snow.
I think that's the
very
thing,
practical help,
Yep. I just think you're absolutely right, and it's not just the feeding people, it's the social interaction, but it's also all these other spin-off things. So for example, like we had someone who came to us who had recently bought a flat but didn't have a carpet, didn't have a couch, didn't have a cooker, and so we were able to facilitate all of those things. So it's the spin-off and it's all those additional things that really make a difference. I see that Adam's got his hand up. If you want to come in, Adam.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to add another drop-in venue that seems to be doing really well just now is the Thursday Breakfast Club at St Mungo's Church, supported by Sanctuary Scotland, but run by Seafair Rangewood Community Council and Cumbernauld Cabrain Community Hub. Always seems to be really busy, really popular. And yeah, just wanted to kind of pass it on and pass on my thanks to all the volunteers that are helping run the drop-in venues.
Thank you.
So, sorry, can I also come in on talking about the hubs and everything like that? So my name's Gillian Lewis, and I'm helping coordinate one within the Cumbernauld area. It's actually on behalf of the St Helens, St Vincent de Paul. So ours is actually grown from strength to strength over the last couple of weeks. And just like what somebody else was saying, people are saying, right, what's going to happen now at the end of March? Initially the numbers were slow to begin with, but certainly since Christmas we had got leaflets printed and did a leaflet drop throughout the doors within Cumbernauld. So certainly since Christmas it's been a steady number, and we've got like a wee bank of volunteers. So we open a Monday, a Wednesday and a Friday, 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and a Sunday, 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And like that, there's been a steady number of people. So particularly a Wednesday. In the last couple of weeks, there's been a couple of new faces. There was a girl who has recently moved into the office. She's in a social work house as well. And she's come in and she's befriended quite a few people. And she came in there on Sunday. Obviously, I'm working full time. So it's usually just a kind of a Sunday where I'm helping out. But from what everybody's reporting back to me is it's been a huge success. And people have got a variety of different things out of it. And the least thing people will be telling you now is like a hot drink, and it's a signpost for other things. And we've had quite a lot of support from Councillor McPhillamy, who has come in at times and sat. So he's been there for different people to kind of talk to as well. So it's been good.
That's brilliant. Thank you. That again sounds like a brilliant initiative. I've got Caroline and then Claire.
Thanks again, Chair. It does sound, that the kind of community spirit is alive and well in Cumbernauld, and it's absolutely amazing to hear about all the different initiatives. It was just a question, Chair. I just wondered if yourself, Mary or Gillian, if you'd encountered any people that had kind of difficulties getting there, whether there'd been transport difficulties or whether people maybe with disabilities and stuff were finding it difficult. I just wondered if you'd encountered that and whether there was anything that as a board we should be considering to support that.
Well, we've actually offered a taxi service because we've had a couple of ladies come over from Westfield on a Sunday. So we've actually offered a taxi service. We've linked in with Express Cars in Cumbernauld, and they just hand over a receipt, and that's just other funds that we've used to pay for that. So we've offered that.
That's brilliant. We haven't experienced that, but then I think our venue is not particularly accessible, and we would need to look at, if someone came along that had access challenges, we would need to look at that. Mary, you're probably more accessible than us.
Yeah, what I've found is a couple of occasions, a couple of the participants, how can I put it? They're getting older and they've got a problem, maybe it amounts to they're in the wrong kind of housing, and to get out they have to go down a set of stairs, maybe onto the main street or whatever. A couple of them have had falls whilst they've not turned up, and we've made inquiries and we've followed it up. Or a couple of them have taken that really bad chest infection that's on the go just now. So some of the social problems come out, especially around some of the older people that have been coming to some of our places, and they're fretting about I can't manage the stairs down onto the street, or they stay in one room in the house because it's too much for them to be trying to get up the stairs at night, things like that. Very, very, I think they're long-standing problems that they've had. We've had discussions about, could we get the community alarm service put in for you? Could we contact housing to try and see if there's anything can be done to get you a wee change of your house? And it's a big deal for them, obviously, but there are other wee problems that are there that I mean, one lady in particular, say we start at 12 o'clock in the day, she's coming in to us at 10 o'clock because she's got herself so worked up to be able to get out and in plenty of time, and you know what it's like when you get set in your ways. So she's with us 2 hours before we actually start, serving. and then her friend comes in. Now the other day, I'll tell you this. This is unbelievable. Her friend comes in. A couple of ladies come in on, you know, the wee mobile things, mobility scooter. So I was nicking over to Tesco to get some food for somebody who hadn't turned up, but we said would send her some things, and her friend was on the path up into Cornerstone, and I said, "Oh, are you okay?" And she said, "No, my mobility scooter's broken down." So I ended up having to push her and the scooter up into Cornerstone. Her battery had gone flat. You know, so these very practical things are happening to people, and a wee bit of help gets them. We phoned her daughter and we get things sorted out for her. But if I hadn't, I mean, I very rarely go out the office through the day. If I hadn't decided to nick over and just get, you know, it was just like shower gel and hankies and hand cream and stuff, because that lady in particular had ended up in the hospital with this chest infection. She would have been stuck there. I don't know who would have helped her, because that bit going round to the shops, not everybody would stop and help you get up it, because it is a wee bit of a hill, you know. So things like that are happening.
Yeah. I mean, we still do, we do have a small number of deliveries to people who are infirm and who are unable to get out the house, things like that. And I suppose if anybody was to identify people in that situation, then we could add them onto our list. Still do that every Monday. I think, was it Claire that wanted in? Claire, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry again. I know.
And then Shazzy, I'll come to you after.
Forgive me. I'm coming out the other side of COVID, and my coordination is just a way to thing. I don't know where my fingers go. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I this was something, as you know, Suzanne, you and I had a conversation about at the kind of in the height of COVID, and it was the kind of the worry about how would we try and keep the people and that we were being able to be in touch with, because we were delivering food parcels, we were doing all of that. How would we keep those people? Because through the really the 2.5 years of where it was for vulnerable people, it was about staying in and keeping themselves safe. So they weren't going to maybe their usual, whether it be clubs or whether it be the library or whether it be churches, whatever, is once we were going to be coming out the other end, how could we have those people engaged? And this is why all of the work that is being done is so important, because what it's doing is you're seeing people on a face-to-face basis, and what you're doing is you're seeing that there are issues. You know, it's somebody that's maybe, because you're kind of getting used to them, you're thinking they're really not working very well, and even having a conversation with them to discover it's because maybe they're not eating properly, because they don't have their, you know, they're on a card meter and the card meter is ran out, and they're really, they don't know maybe where to turn, or they're very proud and they don't really want to say it, but it will come through in conversation. So it shows kind of how important it is, and I'm really pleased that you know, the involvement of councillors. I mean, for me personally, and I know that other of my councillor colleagues, we kind of backed off from being overtly involved with a lot of what you were doing, solely because it would be, I know for me, I didn't want to be as if I was intruding and that I was there, and it was like, oh, the councillor sitting in the corner, and it would be, that would become a big deal. But I was always happy to be working in the background. But if that you, for wherever you are, find that it is really useful, and from what you're saying, that it is maybe useful for one of us to be there, not all the time or whatever, is to use us and make sure that we've now, but through the community board, we've got other contacts. It doesn't have to be us, but if there's anything that you feel that we would be helpful, either by being there or just passing us maybe information to help, make sure that you do use us, because it's, for me, it's trying to get that balance between, you know, oh, there she is again, and it's, you know, or a not being seen, you know, so it's a kind of a difficult one, and yous are in that position to know better how to utilise us. I was going to say use and abuses, but maybe we'll not do the abuse bit. But to kind of look at it that way. But again, just backing up what everybody else is, thank you for everything that you're doing. And I know that it was a conversation that I had with Stephen Penman about how we communicate as a council, a lot of these things, and it's about maybe trying to get something across about being a good neighbour, you know, of watching out for people that you think are vulnerable without going over that line. But that's maybe where somebody who you normally see going out a lot, or you used to see going out a lot, it's maybe just having those conversations to suggest to go along to one of these, which could be more of a club. You know, it's not just about that you're feeling cold, it's about the inclusion, the social interaction, that side of it, which is just as important. And especially, you know, you hope to God things will get better, although I'm not convinced about the cost of living side of things, but it's also about that inclusion and about people having someone else to talk to and for you to pick up if there are issues. And I've spoken enough, but thanks very much for this, Suzanne. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm kind of conscious of the time, so we'll go to Shazia and then we'll move on to the next item if everybody's okay with that. Shazia? I think you're on mute.
Is that okay?
That's you? Yeah.
Okay, I'm literally going to take up half a minute of your time, Suzanne. So it's just to let people know, because I know that yourself and Gillian, who run the other food banks, have talked about funding. And just to let you know that the Household Hardship Fund is now reopened again, and that gives food banks up to £5,000 for cash and vouchers for families on low incomes. And the Cora Foundation, we're administering that fund, but the deadline is the 10th of March. So if you can get your skates on for that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. That's really very welcome news. Great. Okay, I think that's been a really brilliant discussion and actually just showcasing the excellent community-based work that's going on in the town. So well done, everybody.
Don't know if Suzanne's dropped off. Okay, can I just pick it up there? And as soon as Suzanne comes back on, and the next item on the agenda is updates from community groups and organisations. So if any group or organisation would like to give an update on what they're doing or whether there's any consultations going on at the moment, we would appreciate that. Thank you.
Can I give a wee update on our Here to Help project? The leaflet was sent out, I noticed, for the community board papers and A&A. Right, this is lottery funding that was given to Cornerstone. It was a closed call as a community anchor organisation. So to date, until today, we've helped 153 families with top-ups for their gas and electric, food vouchers, clothing, small appliances, and it's running till the end of March. And again, there's a lot of issues that are being tabled when people are talking to us about, you know, they're struggling to keep the gas and electric going, especially the gas, and just in general, it's a big help to people, and we've been overwhelmed with inquiries, and we are getting feedback, so I'm hoping to do a bit of a report on that. Over and above that, we've also had our community anchor network project coming to an end at the end of March, and we're having an event on the 24th of March. We're just finalising all the details with that, and you and I do need to have a wee chat about that. We'll try and catch you by Monday at the latest. if you can fit me in. And again, we've had 5 rounds of funding of £20,000 to community groups each round. That's over £100,000 of investment into Cumbernauld, and by application it went to a community vote, and overall the voting has over the 5 rounds has had over 5,000 people voting on who's to get a bit of funding, and some of the smaller groups have been really grateful as well. So that's been a major part of our work recently.
Okay, Mary, I'll contact you tomorrow to arrange a meeting next week if that's okay.
Sorry, folks, that's me back. My link completely crashed. So,
what I just done there, Suzanne, was I had the update there from community groups and organisations. So we're just waiting to see if anyone else would like to give an update. So if you pick it up for there, please.
Smashing. Natalie, did you come in on the work of the volunteers?
Yeah, so it's a wee bit of a moan. I've got a wee bit of probably a bit of feedback about what we've been up to probably, and also thanks to Cornerstone for your contribution to help us engage senior high school pupils. We have 6 in total who have still to get around to meeting yet. But I think that will be really, really beneficial to them and to the younger kids that the hall's full of them just now. I think it will be really, really good. So thank you very much for helping us to be able to do that. Since March last year, sorry, the door keeps opening. Since March last year, through 2 funding applications, Youth Zone has received £7,250 in hardship fund money that we have distributed to local families. Abraham Hill Primary have still to come back to us just to ask for theirs. We currently have around 120 members in the Youth Zone, 12 of which are thankfully volunteers who very, very generously give of their time. In the last 12 months, in addition to our term time Thursday sessions, we provided summer sessions. That was one of our resident teachers, Julie. I think she was very, very bored, which is mental. We took a load of kids to Auchengillan last February, thanks to funding. We had a teen event there in our Ladies' High, which was all right, could have been much better attended given the vast array of issues that the community is experiencing with young people, and young people are experiencing themselves through their mental health. We have the outdoor cinema that is around the corner and coming in far too quickly for my liking at the end of March. So to kind of turn on that a wee bit, the demand or requirement for the services is increasing, and I'm not going to say it's getting a bit much, but it's getting to the point where we're maybe looking at turning it a charitable organisation to maybe try and bring somebody in to employ somebody. I don't know if it's in a million years that any of us thought we'd have that many members. I mean, there's as many you'll know who run volunteer organisation. It's not just a case of turning up. There's a shed load of background work, and every single one of us in here work and have families of our own, mostly children from primary school to teens. We have a variety from 1 child to 4 in some cases. Now I realise that the budgets and all that have been cut. The support is not necessarily there. I kind of personally feel that because we have seemed to have parts of Abraham Hill covered, I don't mean we're getting left to it. I know if we ask for help, it will be there. But see the form filling, and we don't certainly go out to it. We maybe make a five pence a Mars bar. That's kind of about the extent of our profit. So we don't look to make any money here. We take in £1 off every child that comes through the door, and if they don't have it, that's absolutely fine. But from a completely personal level, I feel the council is relying very, very heavily on volunteers, and maybe has to look to tread a wee bit carefully, because people are going to walk away. I mean, we've got 5 leaders here out of the 12. There's 5 of us who get it done. the planning, the application, the safeguarding, the accounting, the banking, our membership site, meetings, community meetings, church meetings. Some of us are still on parent councils just to get that access to schools, funding, licensing. You'll know the list is endless. Planning the events, planning a Thursday night, shopping for a Thursday night. And I think if three of us were to decide, you know what, kind of a bit burnt out now, the youth zone will stop. The youth zone will absolutely stop because it can't be left to two people. So we're trying to figure out a way to make sure the youth zone sticks around for for as long as it possibly can. But I feel the reliance on volunteers. I can't speak for everybody. I can't speak for everybody else that volunteers on the board, but the reliance is, and I understand that money's just not there, but I think very often it's getting a bit much, to be honest.
Natalie, there may be an opportunity when we come to the funding, an update on the funding. There may be some information within that maybe help you here. And
we know that funding's available. We are aware. We got the funding for Cornerstone. We got funding for Cora. We got funding for via our membership from Youth Scotland. But paperwork is a problem. Paperwork is really time consuming for us. I mean, I sat with realised the other day that we had in the end of October, we had put in an application, a letting application for Our Ladies High for the 18th of February. And insurance, it wasn't the fine print, I believe, about insurance, which is fine. We have insurance through Youth Scotland, but something was flagged up Thursday, 2 days before the event. Then we're scrambling about trying to make sure, are we actually covered for this? It turns out we weren't, so we had to shell out £188 to make sure the event was covered. I dare say there's a reason why, we're volunteering in North Lanarkshire Council, using a North Lanarkshire building. We're trying to scramble about for insurance 2 days before an event. So these things are hugely time consuming. I basically haven't barely done a stroke of work in about 3 weeks. And it's becoming a concern. It really is becoming a concern. I think the reliance on volunteer services is getting a bit over the top, to be honest. I don't know what can be done about it, but I just want to highlight it.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, and from our perspective, I kind of recognise that the same pressures. I wonder, is there something that we could, Matt, Christine, you can keep me right here, but I wonder, is there something that we could maybe speak to CL&D about, and about maybe trying to develop a local funding volunteering strategy, and maybe try and encourage more people within the community to come on board? Matt, Christine, any thoughts?
Christine, you're on mute.
Sorry, I thought I took myself off mute there, apologies. We can certainly take that on board and we can take it back and have some discussions round about that. But certainly there is a breadth of experience within the Cumbernauld area. There's kind of support systems there in terms of, I know Camille was on earlier in terms of Van El, the support that they might be able to give as a kind of volunteer organisation as well. So there'd be a host of things out there that we maybe need to think about, but certainly take on board what you're saying there in terms of the issues, Natalie, but we can come back to you on that as well.
I mean, what I think would be a huge help to us, and it doesn't have to be on a regular basis, if somebody come down here on a Thursday night to just actually see what's happening, to see that we are putting something on, what we're putting on, how many kids we've got coming in, and then it maybe, I don't know, obviously with the kerfuffle over the weekend there, could there be, when a volunteer organisation is contacting North Lanarkshire Council for a let, for example, are you a private let or are you a volunteer organisation? And then it could be maybe a bit more streamlined for us to make things just, sure, we don't mind filling out the odd form, but going to make it a bit simpler for us, and it takes up less of our time, as I say, there's 12 of us in total, so we're incredibly lucky. We're now trying to look at giving people a night off. That's a laugh. They're volunteering, but we're trying to give them a night off so they don't get fed up. Because if we lose people, we just can't operate. Obviously, we had a scramble today because three people were unwell. So you're running about trying to make sure you've got cover. If you don't have cover, we don't run. It's as simple as that. But it would be good if occasionally somebody popped their head through the door just to check in with us, and then actually see what's happening here. To save us having to fill in forms about what it is we're actually doing, and then reporting back on how we spent money. And I get it. I do understand why it's necessary. Accounting purposes, believe me, I do. but it's making our job very, very, well, much more difficult than it really needs to be. I'd rather be in there with the kids, to be honest. That's kind of why I do what I do. So rather than sitting filling out forms.
That's really, really helpful feedback, and maybe the officers can have a wee think about how we can maybe tackle some of those issues.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry to move things on so quickly.
You're fine, I've got to get there anyway.
I know. Well, so moving on to a local engagement and investment. And it is Christine, funding the open space strategy.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just a very brief update. I'm conscious of the time. Just to let everyone know that beginning in April, the Council will be inviting people in groups to respond to a survey, asking for their views on the quality, quantity and accessibility of open space. And I think that directly links to our green space group. So potentially there's a linkage there. We will send out further information in relation to that as we get towards April time, to make sure that you are aware of that. The Council itself is starting to develop its ambitious open space strategy. This will set out a strategic framework of North Lanarkshire's policies and proposals for the development, maintenance and the use of the open spaces and green networks. So I think that's something we kind of need to make sure that you are aware of, particularly for the group that's meeting already within the Cumbernauld area. So thanks very much.
Thank you. Okay, update on parking consultation, and we'll get TBC against that.
Yeah, I can give an update on that, Chair. Just a brief one. There will be a parking consultation targeting the Cumbernauld Village, and that will be coming up in the next few weeks. It was just to kind of make people aware that that will be coming on board. Residents from the village will be contacted directly, but it will be also on the council website. So there'll be information there, but certainly we'll circulate information as soon as we become aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Annette, funding opportunities.
Okay, just to remind people that NL recovery grants, our deadline has been extended to the 16th of March. NLC small grants for year 2023 to 24 will start again in April this year. I'll send the links to anyone. If anybody needs any help or advice, they just contact me. And Cashback for Communities is opening the 3-year funding stream. It's opening in June this year, and it will last. Phase 6 will run from the 1st of April, 2023 to the 31st of March 2026. I will make sure that everyone gets these links. And the Fuel Hardship Fund, that's all the North Lanarkshire one, that's also been extended and is still available. So if you can encourage, particularly around the fuel hardship, if you can encourage people to apply for it. And I know you have been making an effort within the drop-in space. So if I could just remind people to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Annette. That's great. Okay, the standing items on the agenda, we've covered Gerard's bit. So Matt, it's over to you for the local development programme update.
Thanks, Chair. Very briefly, Annette's already covered some of the updates in relation to the CCTV. The report was issued with the paper, so people should have had maybe the chance to have a look at that and see the project, how that's progressing. A couple of issues to highlight are just pertaining to the kind of contract inflation and some of the contractor issues we've been experiencing, but this is kind of sector-wide in relation to delivering projects of this nature, and we'll just continue to plug away and trying to get these projects delivered as best we can through these the challenges that are there. Annette may have a couple of issues she wants to pick up on and relate to particular subjects, some particular projects. If anybody's got any questions, we're happy to take any questions. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, anybody? Oh. Annette, did you want to pick anything up on this?
I would just take any questions. There are a number of parking LDP proposal forms who have been submitted. You will see that from the report.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that parking is a particular issue in some areas, and it's good that you're doing that in the Cumbernauld Village because there is definitely issues there. My concern about parking in the LDP funds, I suppose, is that, you know, as somebody said, I think it was Claire said earlier on, there was the Kyle Road was, you know, additional parking put in, and it just was used up and didn't make a huge difference. And I kind of wonder if that's really great use of LDP funds, or if we could be looking at other sort of initiatives and bigger initiatives, maybe town-wide initiatives, rather than a couple of parking bays here and a couple of parking bays there. But I don't know if anyone else has any views on that.
I think Christine can answer that.
I think Matt, you had your
Oh,
hand up
sorry,
there,
sorry.
did you, Matt?
Yeah,
Thought it was
just
you.
just come in that, Chair. No, the LDP is very much community-led, and we are open to any projects that fall within the criteria within the LDP to be considered. We'd really encourage groups to, you know, we've done a wide range of projects: CCTV, heritage features, car parking that supports play areas. That's just to name but a few. There's been several types of projects across North Lanarkshire the LDP has supported. Car parking is a very popular project that comes forward, and Cumbernauld is quite unique in some of the ways because of the design of the town. Hasn't lended itself to, even compared to some other areas, is particularly problematic. So we are listening to communities, and we don't make the projects up. That they're coming from communities, but I do get your point, and we really do try and diversify as much as we can in terms of project delivery, and we'll continue to work with groups to try and do that more. But we're listening to people, and we'll pick that up.
Chair, just in addition to what Matt said there, we would welcome communities, if you've got any projects, speak to Annette in the first instance and about what you think your project is, even if it's just an idea. We can look at that and we're quite happy to support you in that. So please feel free to put ideas forward for us.
I think that's a great call. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a significant amount of money. So, you know, and I think we need to recognise that it's there, and, you know, we want to use it as best that we possibly can. Caroline, did you want to come in?
Sorry, Chair, Councillor Barclay was before me.
Sorry, I didn't see Claire's hand up, but we'll take you, and then Claire come in after you.
Just in relation to the LDP, it was just to actually make a particular thank you and note in relation to the signage that's went up in Seafar and Ravenswood. It's something as a resident of Seafar that I've always kind of been a wee bit unhappy about, in terms of, you know, us being able to embrace our identity in terms of where we live, because, you know, you go to Abram Hills, welcome to Abram Hill, you know, there's so many different areas in Cumbernauld that gives you that, you kind of welcome, and we didn't have that in Seafar and Ravenswood. So I wanted to just positively say thank you, because the signage gives you ownership, if you know what I mean, and it just really nice to see the welcome signs when you go along Seafar Road. So I just wanted to note that. I suppose in terms of, you know, looking at, you know, issues and priorities, I still think in relation to the area that I live, you know, one of the real issues, you know, we talk about parking down at the village where my mother-in-law stays, and she always moans about it, but there's a real issue in Allen Falls Road in terms of even the movement of cars going along that road, and the garages, and how people park, where they park. I mean, Allen Falls Road is basically a single track road, and I've seen queues of cars almost, you know, like waiting at the beginning of the road for the cars at the end of the road to get to, you know, that bit so that they can, you know, get in to move forward. And I can remember when those flats were being built that there was a access road built that alleviated that. And I don't know what the politics were. I'm not going to pretend that I know what the politics were, but that was obviously dug up and removed after the flats were completed. But that, again, is just another real ongoing issue of concern in relation to this area, and, you know, and the residents and how they access particularly the flats when you get to the end of Allen Falls. So I just wanted to make that point as well, Chair.
Thanks, Caroline. So I've got Claire and I've got Adam, but I'm going to ask you both to be brief, because as councillors, obviously you have opportunities to speak directly to officers out with this meeting. But Claire, go ahead.
Yeah, I will be quick. I'll take, Caroline, your point first about Allen Falls Road. I totally agree. When that access road was there, obviously it was temporary because it was access for the building. But I had asked, and we tried every way to see if we could get it made permanent, simply for that reason, because it was alleviating the problem. And then when it was bad snow at one particular point, it was actually ideal because it meant that of the way that the traffic was managed. The problem was the gradient was too steep. And I think that it then came back was saying that the amount of money it was going to take to make it into a feasible road, because they would have to do so much work involved at that particular time, it wasn't feasible. But that doesn't mean to say that we don't keep plugging away, because it could be that there's a way to solve that problem, because you don't know how things go down the line. And the other thing is about traffic. One of the things that was a discussion that I had with Leanne a way back when we were talking about the problems of parking in the town centre, was to have a parking strategy for Cumbernauld, to look at, because as Suzanne said when I said earlier about Kyle Road, we could put in new parking places in every single street in Cumbernauld, and it would make no difference whatsoever. Especially the older part of Cumbernauld was not designed for each household to have 4 vehicles, and that's kind of becoming the norm, is that you find that people will have, the minute that one of the younger members hits 17 and a half, 18, they get their own car. So that you're ended up that there's more and more and more vehicles that are on the road, and we don't have the space. You would need to dig up every single bit of green space and replace it with parking, and that is not a good place to be, for a whole raft of reasons. So I think as I say, at that time, and Leanne was quite up for that, but that it then kind of lost it, and it was coming back to the community board. But I think having looking, not to look at each street on isolation, but to step back and say we need a parking strategy for the whole of Cumbernauld, because that is an issue. And on the CCTV in it, I think I can't see it, and forgive me, but I know we had discussions about CCTV for Farryside Road. And so, but I'll come back to you on that, and just to find out where we are on that, because of the fly tipping situation is especially bad up at that. But Arns Road hasn't been too bad because there's houses there, but Farryside Road in particular. I can talk to you about that later. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Adam, as briefly as you can possibly be, if you don't mind, thanks.
That's fine, that won't be a problem. It was
Thank
just to say that I had arranged for a speed survey to be carried out on Allenfold Road because of road safety concerns there. That survey didn't indicate that vehicles were speeding along Allenfold Road, so North Lanarkshire Council's position is that there won't be any traffic calming undertaken or any new signage put up on Allenfold Road, but it's something we can continue to keep an eye on. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That's great. Okay, I think that covers off the LDP then, funds, and we're going on to AOCB, and the only item I've got is contextual safeguarding, and that's Nicole.
Thank you very much, Chair. So this is my first board ever, so thanks very much for allowing me to come and speak to you. I'm going to try and behave myself and be succinct. I feel like I should have the countdown theme song kind of playing in the background. So I'm Nicole Savage. I'm a senior officer in education and families. I'm a social worker at heart. I'm a frontline child protection social worker at heart. And within the kind of current role that I am working in, we've been working really, really hard to look at designing and redesigning the systems that safeguard young people. It's quite kind of grandiose sounding, but we are the first council in Scotland, so North Lanarkshire, the first council in Scotland to be implementing contextual safeguarding. And I'm not going to have the ability to explain contextual safeguarding really to everyone. So I suppose my first point is to ask that we kind of drill up some support to have an additional community board where we do have an opportunity to speak about contextual safeguarding. It's very relevant to the community boards because it's about the community. It's looking at the context where young people are spending their time and trying to disrupt the harm that they're coming to. So rather than kind of seeing some things as isolated incidents or antisocial behaviour, what we want to do is really look at what's going on for the young people, what's the needs that have been created, and is there exploitation that's happening? Is there adults that are taking advantage of our children, and how do we disrupt that? So we've been working really hard with a number of different kind of people and experts in the field of child protection in this area. So the person that invented contextual safeguarding is Dr. Caroline Furman, and she's been working directly with North Lanarkshire. We're going to launch, I suppose, a full theory of change, which looks at extra-familial harm. So where do our young people spend time? The majority of time that where young people spend in their teenage years is out in the community, it's out with their peers, it's not within the kind of home environment. So we really want to kind of tackle what is it they're getting up to, is there things that we could be supporting, diverting, and I suppose the only way really we can understand what's going on for young people is to have a relationship with them, to build trust. I'm very passionate about decriminalisation and kind of supporting the promise. I manage a number of the promise development workers, so there's a lot of enthusiasm for this from different partners. We have a lot of buy-in from the police. They're saying that a lot of times they don't really want to be the first responders to kind of tackle some of the issues that are going on, because a lot of the young people that we're kind of working with are really traumatized, and we need to kind of understand their perspectives and what's going to happen to them and their response, I suppose, to authority. So this is just an opportunity to say who I am. We're going to be going to all the boards. There's myself and there's two other quite passionate individuals. Andrew Gillies, the Senior Education and Families Officer, and Lynn McKerley, she's an Education and Families Manager as well. So we have, I think I've sent out a number of kind of things for you to look at. One of them is a video, it's about 4 minutes long. It's kind of done like a TikTok video, and the material that we do use, I suppose, is meant to be accessible not just for professionals but for young people, so you can have these kind of joined up conversations. So it's a TikTok, and what I really want people to do is watch it and look at the people that are having the interface with the harm that's been caused. So the people that are seeing things happen are taxi drivers, you know, it could be hoteliers, it can be fast food outlets, it's the community basically. And if they have the confidence to see and can speak up, and if we as a kind of local authority are treating exploitation and harm outside of the home as a child protection issue and looking at it through a welfare lens, we can stop things like that happening. We can kind of get in about it and I suppose understand what's going on. So that's just my ask, and I don't mind anybody contacting me for further information, but I do think that it would be an opportunity to have a board and kind of speak about some of the things that are going on, some of the frustrations, and I suppose some of the systems that have been created that actually they don't work for teenagers. So I think we just want to, that's what I wanted to say, I suppose, is I don't really know too many people on today, but I do know Christine and I know Matt, and they're supporters of contextual safeguarding, so I'm looking for more allies, I suppose.
That absolutely, do you know, as you were speaking there, I was thinking about all of the different people here representing a whole range of different initiatives and projects, and how this probably impacts on every single one of those different areas. And you know, it would be relevant to all of us. So I would absolutely welcome a future board meeting being devoted to, or a bit of, you know, a substantial bit of time being devoted to actually having further discussions on that. And for example, Natalie, who's had to leave us, but I am absolutely sure she would be interested, as would other members of the group. So Christine, we could maybe either put in a special meeting or add it to the agenda for the next meeting.
Yeah, we're happy to organise that. If the board's happy to go ahead with that, not a problem.
That's brilliant.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Chair, my apologies. If we could invite Lynn Gow from Driving Digitally Locally.
Can I just check, Annette, can I just check first of all that everybody else has not got any comments to make on that
sorry.
presentation, or anybody got anything to add?
Caroline Richardson's got a hand up, Chair.
Thank you. Thanks. Caroline?
Very briefly, Chair, Nicole, I'm disappointed that you don't know who I am.
I do know who you are. I do. I should have said, sorry, I should have said Matt, Christine
Sorry.
and Caroline. Absolutely. Because you've been at our steering group. You have.
Yes,
You've
absolutely.
been.
Just to back up, I mean, obviously, I also represent Who Cares Scotland and the work that we do in advocacy. In terms of contextual safeguarding, Nicole has actually trained a lot of our staff who provide advocacy within Who Cares Scotland. And as much as we are professional people who work with young people every single day, I think it's really important to highlight the importance of looking behind what you see, because I think what is presented to us in terms of how young people present and some of the issues that you're even dealing with, it can go so much deeper than that. And I really, really value the kind of support that Nicole has actually given our staff and the insight. And they're very difficult conversations to have, I have to be honest, because as parents, as people who work with vulnerable young people, we kind of think we know it all and we actually don't. So it was really just to highlight the importance of looking at this through the lens of contextual safeguarding, because I certainly know that my staff have absolutely benefited from the training and the subsequent conversations that have taken place. So I just wanted to put that in, Chair.
Thank you very much. That was really helpful. Okay, Alex, is it on this or is it a separate subject?
No, it's the same subject.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wonder, taking up the board's time for a presentation like this and what the benefits are going to be, when in fact I've never heard of this. So public perception is where you want to go, and there should be more publicity about it. The board time is getting shorter and shorter for mammoth presentations, and I think we've got to pay some cognizance to the fact that we only have a limited time on the board. So I would rather have something sent to me and read more about it publicly in newspapers and other places.
We've got plenty of material, and actually we've been used as a kind of national example. So I'm more than happy to have conversations and send over any material in various different kind of formats. We've also, within North Lanarkshire, we're creating our own training to localise it to make sure it reflects North Lanarkshire and the children that are in North Lanarkshire. And I believe this is a really important aspect of everybody's agendas, I suppose, because it's young people. I'm from North Lanarkshire, I work in North Lanarkshire, and I'm raising a child in North Lanarkshire, and I want it to be the best place to raise my child, and I want other people to buy into this because it's evidentially, it works.
I commend you, I commend it, and I would like to have a special session on it. But I just wonder if you can do it in a 10-minute, 15-minute presentation, fair enough. But I've seen some presentations on here that just were taking up too much time on the board. We have a lot on the agendas to get through.
I think maybe that's an argument for a special meeting, isn't it? Christine, I see your hand up.
I was just going to say what Alex just said there. A special meeting, I think we'd had a small conversation in advance of this meeting, and that's why Nicole only came to do a brief input just tonight, because we totally appreciate that there's a lot of time taken up in presentations. Certainly we could organise a special meeting that we can invite people to come along to out with the board.
That would be really helpful, thank you. Thanks. Okay, right, so now we're going to go to Lynn, I believe, with a quick update before we finish up.
Thanks, Chair. I'm absolutely going to take 20 seconds now, maybe even 15. So I've already sent a paper out with an update. Sorry, I'm Lynn Gow, and I am responsible within the Council for developing the Driving Digital Locally framework. We do this through our digital subgroup, which has been going for 18 months, which Alec is a superb vice chair of, and I'm sure he keeps the board up to date each cycle with what's going on. So the paper has been sent out, and to be honest, I think I'm preaching to the converted at Cumbernauld. However, all I wanted to add to tonight is that we have had one of our Cumbernauld representatives tendered his resignation this week, and I do have a gap within the Cumbernauld representatives, and that's all I really wanted to say tonight, over and above answering any questions. But I do appreciate time really is against us tonight. I will put in my email address, and you can either contact me or contact Alec if you wanted more information about joining the digital subgroup. As we move forward, we're starting to work with Comms World and going forward in 2023 around community benefits and what your community can get out of that connectivity contract that the council has. And also we're going to start to look at mapping exercise of where digital provision exists within North Lanarkshire, and more importantly, where are the gaps within North Lanarkshire. And it would be good for every area to be represented on that. And that's really just all I really wanted to say. Alec, please don't ask me a hard question.
Do you want me to just not look at his hands? And just... Alex,
No,
you go.
I just wonder, as this is one of the LOIPs for Cumbernauld,
yes,
why this subject wasn't taken along with green space and all the other ones on the agenda tonight.
Yeah.
There's a difficult question.
I'll
It's
respond to
not
that one.
you.
Chair, can I maybe respond to that one? Alex, I don't know if you remember, but previously at one of the board meetings we had agreed as a board that digital inclusion should be integral to all of the subgroups. And I think Annette had mentioned that tonight. That is now a key agenda item in all of the subgroup meetings. So what the agreement is that anything that's raised will be passed to yourself, Alex, to raise with the Driving Digital Locally subgroup, and vice versa. If there's anything coming back, obviously we'll get that back from yourself. So that will be very much included, and we will give a feedback at the board.
Absolutely. Apologies, I only came tonight because Alec didn't know if he was going to make it. So it's a bit of there probably shouldn't be two A's here, and Alec could have just gave his own update on it. But yeah, if anybody, as I say, we do have a resignation this week from Cumbernauld, and if anybody would like to join, I'd love to hear from you.
Great
Thank
stuff.
you.
Thanks,
Chair.
very much. Okay, that's all I have noted for any other business. So I don't think there's anything else. The date of the next meeting is Tuesday the 30th of May, and with that I think we'll close the meeting. Thanks very much to everybody for your attendance.
Thanks very much, Chair.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Suzanne. Thank you.
Thank you.